Hello students, how are you? This is economics lesson video for grade 11, presented by me, Mr. Fitzumir Mes. It is for term 1, week 4 in lesson 1. In today's lesson, we are going to deal with the concept of theory of supply. With the following review points, let us briefly revise the previous session. In the previous class, we have dealt with the difference between movement along the demand curve or change in quantity demand and shift in demand curve or change in demand. This is what we tried to see in the previous session. Do you remember what the difference between these two? Change in demand and change in quantity demand. Change in quantity demand occurs due to the change only in the price of the commodity itself. And there will be a downward movement or upward movement along the given demand curve. Whenever there is a downward movement along the demand curve, it is referred as extension of demand. Because of the decrease in the price of the commodity, the quantity demand will increase. That is referred as extension of demand, and there will be a downward movement along the demand curve, while the upward movement is considered as contraction of demand, an upward movement along the given demand curve. This is because of the increase in the price of the commodity. Whenever there is a rise in the price of the commodity, the demand will contract and there will be contraction of demand. There is an upward movement, the downward movement because of the decrease in the price of the commodity, and that is extension of demand. The other one is shift in the demand curve or change in demand. This is due to factors other than price of the commodity. Factors other than price means change in income of consumer, taste in the preference of consumer, or it might be because of the price of related goods. All these factors may result shift in the demand curve. The entire demand curve will shift to the right or to the left according to the changes in the factors other than price. Whenever there is a positive change in these factors, the demand curve might shift to the right. That represents increase in demand. Whenever there is a rightward shift in the demand curve entirely from its original place, that refers to increase in demand. This is due to factors other than price. Price remain constant, and factors other than price may lead to a shift to the right of the original demand curve. The other one, whenever there is a negative change in factors other than price, that may lead to a leftward shift in the entire demand curve. That is being considered as decrease in demand. So this is the basic difference between change in demand and change in quantity demand. Change in quantity demand is mainly caused by the price of the commodity itself, and change in demand is mainly resulted due to the change factors other than price. This is the basic difference in their movement. That is what we try to see in the previous session. What is supply mean? Consider the definition and explanation that we give for demand in the previous lessons, and try to give explanation for the term supply from the economics point of view. Pause the video for a while and do that. Theory of supply. Supply of a commodity refers to the various quantities of which producers are willing and able to offer for sale at a particular time at various corresponding price. That is what it means supply. It is the amount of commodity that producers are willing and able to offer for sale at a particular time with a corresponding price. Supply schedule. As we did in demand, supply also can be represented in three different ways. The first one, the supply schedule, and we can also represent by supply curve, and there is also supply function. We'll see this one by one. Supply schedule is a tabular statement that states the different quantities of commodity offered for sale at a different price. As we did again in the demand, here also we have individual supply schedule and market supply schedules. Individual supply schedule is a tabular statement which shows the different quantities of a commodity offered for sale by an individual firm at different price per time period. Look at the schedule or the table. When the price is 5, this individual firm is willing to offer around 15 quantity. Whenever the price becomes 8, it will increase its quantity supply to 20. And when the price becomes 12, the quantity supplied increases to 28. You can simply observe that whenever there is an increase in the price, the individual firm also increases its quantity supplied. This is the individual quantity and price, which is represented by individual supply schedule. This is what it means. Individual firm supply is represented in this way. Market supply schedule. It is a tabular statement which shows the sum of the quantities supplied by all the sellers in the market. Previously, we have dealt with the individual firm supply in the market. Now, we are going to collect or add all the individual firm supply in the market. In reality, we have a number of firms or sellers in the market. In order to get the market supply, the total market supply, we have to sum up or add all the individual firms supply in the market. For example, in order to show how we get the market supply, here we have two individual firms, or there are two firms in the market, firm X and firm Y. Each firm supply different quantities or different commodities in the market with the corresponding price. At price 5, the quantity supplied of firm X is 15 and the quantity supplied of firm Y is 12. In order to get the market supply, we have to add these quantities, and that will give us 27 quantities supplied in the market when the price is 5. And when the price is 8, the quantity supplied, the market quantity supplied becomes 38, 18 by firm Y and 20 by firm X. And this is how we are going to represent the market supply of a commodity by different firms. This is example, but in reality, as we said earlier, we might have a number of firms in the market. In order to get the market supply, we have to add each individual firm supply in the market. Supply curve. A supply curve conveys the same information as supply schedule, but it shows the information graphically rather than in a tabular form. We have also two types of supply curves: individual supply curve and market supply curve. Individual supply curve refers to the curve which expresses graphically the relationship between different quantities of a commodity supplied by an individual firm at a different price per time period. Look at the graph carefully, students. There are different quantities supplied by the individual firm with their corresponding price. When price 15, there is 15 commodities which is supplied by the firm. At price 20, 20 commodities are available in the market, and 25 commodities. This shows a positive relationship between price and the quantity supplied by the firm. The market supply curve. It is found by adding horizontally the individual supply curves. As we did in the individual schedule, we are going to add each individual supply to the market, and that will give us the market supply commodity. Look at the graph. There is individual supply curve S1 and S2. These are two individual firms that provide their commodities to the market. When you add each individual supply commodity, that will give us the same supplied commodities in the market. And that is referred as the market supply commodity or the market supply curve. By adding these two, we will get the market supply amount of commodities. And this is represented by a new supply curve to the right of the individual supply curves. Supply function. It tells us or shows us the functional relationship between the supply of a commodity and factors that affect its supply. There are a number of factors. For example, there is commodity X. The supply of commodity X is the function relationship with price of the product itself, price of related goods, price of factors of production, objective of the firm, and other relevant factors. All these affect the amount of commodity X which is supplied by the firm. This is what mean supply function tells us. It is a functional relationship between the amount of commodity which is available in the market and factors that affect it. Look at Sx equals the function of Px, Py, Pf, B, and Z. Px represents the price of the commodity. This is one of the main factors that affect the supply of commodity X. Whenever there is the higher the price, the higher will be the supply of the commodity. It's always when the price decreases, supply might also decrease. And price of related goods, substitute goods and complementary goods are there. It also affects the amount of commodity X supply. Price of factors of production. Production cost is one of the major factors that affect the availability of the commodity. Factors of production, the cost that we spend for the production of commodity X. Objective of the firm. There are different objectives that might designed by firms in order to get maximum profit or having large share in the market, having large market segment, and the likes. All these are also major factors which affect the supply of commodity X. Other relevant factors, it might be a physical policy of a government, the tax system, the climate, and others. All this influence the amount of commodity which is supplied by the firm. This is what means supply function, and it tells us the functional relationship between supply of the commodity and factors that affect its supply. And this is for today. To summarize what we have discussed in today's session, we dealt with the theory of supply. Supply of a commodity refers to the various quantities of which producers are willing and able to offer for sale at a particular time at various corresponding prices. This is what it means supply from the economics point of view. And this can be represented in three different ways. There is supply schedule, supply curve, and supply function. Supply schedule is a tabular statement that states the different quantities of a commodity offered for sale at different price. Here again we have two type of supply schedules: individual supply schedule and market supply schedule. The individual supply schedule represents the individual firm supply of a commodity at different price per time period. And the market supply schedule represents the sum of the quantity supplied by all the sellers or the individual firms in the market. Supply curve represents or shows the same information graphically rather than in tabular form. There is individual supply curve and market supply curves are there. The same information can be represented with the use of the supply curve. The other part where the supply function shows us the functional relationship between supply of a commodity and factors that affect the supply. Here, a number of factors are there. The price of the commodity, the price of related goods, the price of factors of production, objective of the firm, and other relevant factors. All these factors influence the amount of commodity which is available in the market. This is all what we have discussed in this short lesson video. Do this exercise on your exercise book. That's all for today. Until we meet in the next lesson video. Goodbye.